A superficial reading of the text would suggest that we have here a very angry brother, Yosef, who seeks to wreak vengeance for the pain and suffering that he had to endure at the hands of his brothers. A cursory reading of the text will demonstrate that this approach is untenable, as we shall shortly see. The compromise position that Yosef adopts is to force them to bring his youngest brother Binyamin to Egypt. The brothers were to return to their father with a supply of food, but one of the brothers were to remain in Egypt as a hostage. Im teitzu mizeh, you will not leave this place, ki im bevo achichem hakaton hena, unless your youngest brother comes to Egypt. Amongst themselves, the brothers attempt to make sense of the events that are happening to them, and they come to the consensus that the hand of God, the Yad Hashem, is the controlling force behind these events. And they are now being held accountable for their lack of compassion for their brother Yosef. Ashemim anachnu, alachinu, we have sinned against our brother. Asher ra'inu tzarat nafsho, we witnessed the pain and suffering that he was forced to endure. V'lo shamanu, and we ignored his cries for help. And they go on to present the typical mida keneged mida interpretation, al kain ba'aleinu hatzara hazot. It is for this reason that these troubles have come back to haunt us. Yosef, hearing this expression of remorse on the part of the brothers, leaves the room, vayisov me'alehem vayefk, and cries. Hardly the response of one who was out to seek vengeance. And if so, one could ask, why did Yosef enter into a series of shenanigans that are described in the following 3 parakim? The Ramban maintains that the answer lies in the opening statement to the entire sequence of events, that Vayizkar Yosef et achalomot. Yosef remembered the dreams that he had dreamt lahem about them, which motivated him to begin this accusation of meraglim atem, that you are spies, and the subsequent unfolding narrative. At the same time, the Ramban also justifies the 22-year delay on the part of Yosef, in which he did not inform his parents that he was still alive. Once we have established that Yosef was not acting out of vengeance as a payback to what the brothers had done to him, we now need to revisit the statement that acts as a backdrop to the sequence of events in Perek 42, 43, and 44, namely that Vayizkar Yosef et achalomot asher chalam lahem, of which there were 2. In the first, we have a situation where in this vision the 11 sheaves of wheat encircle and bow down to the single sheaf of wheat. Yosef's interpretation for this vision was that the 11 brothers will as one acknowledge the leadership of Yosef. And in the second dream we had the sun, the moon, and 11 stars in a gravitational orbit around the single star. The single star once again represents Yosef, the 11 stars the brothers, the sun and the moon Yaakov and Rachel. When the brothers, minus Binyamin, the group of 10, present themselves to Yosef, with the wording of the Chumash is Vayishtachavu lo apayim arza. As one, they all bow down to him, which in a way is a partial fulfillment of the first dream regarding the sheaves. As with the brothers who interpreted events from the standpoint of Yad Hashem, Yosef, who was raised in that environment, did the same. And from where he stood, and for whatever the ultimate intention and message of the dreams were, the process of fulfillment had already begun. His job, however, was to facilitate the complete fulfillment of the vision dreams. And it was for this reason that he set in motion a system to have the 11th brother, Binyamin, brought to Egypt and pay homage to Yosef, together with the other 10 brothers, as was predicted in the first vision. According to the Ramban, this is what is meant with the linkage of Yosef remembering the dreams and his framing of his brothers with a false accusation of their being spies on behalf of the Canaanite kings. It is on this basis that the Ramban justifies the actions of Yosef in not communicating his presence to his father immediately upon his release from the Egyptian prison. The Ramban argues that were it not for this aspect of facilitating the fulfillment of the original two visions, Yosef in theory would have been guilty of unnecessarily prolonging the anguish to his father over the loss of his favorite son, a violation of what later became the fifth commandment, Kabed et avicha ve'et emecha.